I think the other thing is that, people on the left tend to be more highly educated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
True.
indoctrination is 100% part of what happens to people on the left,
Oh yeah.
that
Yeah.
happens in schools.
Oh, the education
And
system is hugely complicit in that. I agree, 100%. And
so,
when it comes to the education thing, there's like an incentive, right? It's about passing. So I mean, even if you don't necessarily, believe the DEI or whatever that they're preaching, you want to get the A, right? You want to get the certificate. So it's
yeah.
even if they do I mean, I think over time it just eventually fosters a culture. But like what it really what it really starts from is incentives, where it's like, okay, we're I remember in 2014, I don't know the exact, but we'll just say Hollywood in general. For the Oscars, they put out this thing where they were like, "Hey, we need to, like, if you want to be nominated for an Oscar, you need to meet like this 25% quota of diversity inclusion or whatever." And you can say, "Oh, well, they weren't like pointing at everyone saying, "Hey, you have to cast XYZ person in your movie." But I mean, you don't really need to because it creates an incentive, right? Like if your movie gets nominated for an Oscar, that means your movie's gonna make more money, right? So that indirectly creates an incentive for people to do that, and I think that's powerful stuff. I mean, I think in the education system, that's rampant.
It's very, really, really powerful. And, I talk about the steps to indoctrination in the book, and
Mm-hmm.
a system of reward and punishment is part and parcel to indoctrination. And
Yes.
that's what grades are. That's what,
Yeah.
you won't do well. You won't graduate. You won't get a good grade if you don't toe the line and repeat back everything that has been said to you. And repetition. The more you do it, the more indoctrination becomes. So the longer someone stays in school, the more they believe, what, authority is already always right. I'm not supposed to ask questions. I'm supposed to just stay, toe the line and regurgitate what has been said to me. And I use my dad as an example sometimes. My dad was what they call all but dissertation towards his doctorate, and he tried 3 times, but his doctoral committees always argued with him about his dissertation, so he never finished it. And he retook classes over and over again, but it was because he refused to submit to certain orthodoxies, I guess you could say, in the area that he was studying. He was a middle school principal, so it was education related, and he refused to rewrite his dissertation in the way they wanted, and so he ended up never getting his doctorate degree. And when it comes to science, yeah, I talk about the scientific method in the book, and I talk about how far from actual real science we are
Oh yeah.
in most of
Agree.
the areas of what the government regulates, and how captured industry is about that. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I mean, like, basically, if you think about it this way, so peer reviewed research is supposed to be the gold standard, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you have 10 of your peers reviewing your groundbreaking paper that will make all of their life's work disappear,
Yes. Yes.
how are you ever going to get that peer review through? So it's peer review is like the opposite of the scientific
Yeah.
method,
Oh
basically.
yeah.
It is shutting down. And two things that I like to say, my two little catchphrases since I woke up, Coleman, are question everything and follow the
Yes.
money.
Yes.
And when it comes to science, the those two are 100% follow the money. Where did it come from? Who benefited from it? And where did it go? And you'll often see a very different picture than you're being told. But I also always like to say, and this came out a lot during COVID, I think, is that the word doctor is practically indoctrinated. So they are
I never thought
completely,
of that. That's hilarious.
yeah. So, um, but the sort of, they can't question anything. They can't, and many who did found themselves before licensing boards. If they tried ivermectin, or if they
Yeah.
questioned the protocol with remdesivir, which I hear some of them call "woe death is near," instead. But if they did any of that, the establishment would come down really hard on them. So doctors are very, indoctrinated, and many of them, contribute in that way. But I think, that's the other thing, that I think we've seen a huge push to get everyone that we possibly can to go to college, and that has led to a glut of college educated women, especially, most of whom are on the left,
Oh,
as
yeah.
a result of the indoctrination they received during their education.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I think they outrank men in graduation rates, which I mean, that's not even to say that like it's that they're getting some unfair advantage. Like maybe they are really good, like biologically gaining the system, right? But yeah, I mean, it does create an outcome. This is also coming from an anarchist perspective, but like I find education to be one of the most worthless uses of taxpayer dollars in this current day and age. I mean, maybe you disagree with this, but I mean, like, I think in the face of AI, especially, I could take my phone and compare it to an entire college campus, and there's not even close. It's not even a match. And when education was first founded, it kind of, in a way, it kind of made sense, right? Because it was like, oh, the political elite, they have all this information, they have all these books that are really expensive that people can't. So we'll have people pay a fee, and then they'll have access to that information, right? Nowadays, everybody has access to the information. I mean, if you want to learn anything, you're not going to go, like, if I want to learn how to speak French, I'm not going to go to my college and figure out, like, what class can I take to learn French. I'm going to go to my phone and I'm going to learn it in a fourth of the time, right? So I think, I think as you see this progress, you see more of these leftist elite types like harp about how important education is. And to me, it's just like it's one of the like the most glaring, like, paper mache, not an actual monolith, right? Like it's sand, right? Like it's worthless essentially.
It is. I often tell people when I talk to them, if you have a kid in who's in elementary school, homeschool them if there's any way that you can.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
and I really would caution to say at this point, most degrees are not worth the paper that they're printed on. Learn to build something, fix something, or make something. Because most white collar or laptop class jobs are going to disappear because of AI.
Hmm.
Why would I want an accountant when I can have AI do my taxes? Why would I want, you know, I think doctors even are going to suffer from this, because I think a computer AI program is probably going to be able to do diagnoses much better than a doctor can. Although we could talk about the sick care system some other time.
Sure, yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Western medicine at this point,
I think
but
you and I would agree
um,
there.
yeah, I don't go to the doctor pretty much, but I think that we we stopped teaching people how to think a long time ago in schools, both elementary and higher education, and we began telling them what to think.
Yes.
And it was to serve the establishment, to serve the system, to serve the economic oligarchy. We want good, compliant workers who can regurgitate facts and do what they are told, show up on time, And, I talk in the book about how much elementary school actually resembles prison,
Mm,
how little difference there is. You stand on the line, you only go where you're told. And you only talk when you have permission, and you show up on time whether you want to or not. And so there's a lot of similarities, but and you're basically the model hasn't changed that much since they were training people to be factory workers, which is
yeah.
basically show up on time, sit in this one spot for 8 hours doing this job, and then leave. And so that's the way school trained people to be. And so I don't disagree with you, and that's why like the full title of my book is deprogramming Democrats and uneducating the elites,
Yes.
because of education. I view education as one of the primary tools of creating control over the citizenry, and I think that they have also changed the curriculum significantly to where it really does undermine belief and faith in our constitutional republic. I know as an anarchist, you might not have a lot of belief or faith in our constitutional republic, but I think that it is a bad a bad thing for me as a taxpayer, as a property owner. My property taxes go to pay for the education of my neighbor's children, and to educate them in a way that undermines our system like that. I don't think I ought to be paying for that.
Hey, I 100% agree with that for sure.